Oh, well, I have another amazing, beautiful guest in the podcast studio today. I've got Jennifer Dawn from Maple Ridge, BC. We have been trying for a long time to coordinate life and schedules, and here we are. So, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a rundown of who Jennifer Dawn is and some of the magic behind all the things that she does. So, she's a five-time international best-selling author, and she's the owner and the CEO of Jennifer Dawn Limited. And she has always cherished the dream of writing since she was a little girl, and she's done a lot of it and continues. There's lots to come. She's published a solo book, six co-authored books, some magazine articles, one that I was just playing with right now. This beautiful book, which I got in person when I met Jennifer, Dad's Pennies from Heaven, is also now set to be released with Hay House in 2025. So that is like so exciting. And it's amazing. It's a very moving book, and one that you read in pieces and you get the messages you need. So it's beautiful. She's also been featured in magazines and different places where she's been able to share the story, her dad's story with dementia, and his journey with that and her journey on stage and throughout different articles as well. She's been on a beautiful, amazing, very vast spiritual journey since she was 17. And over the last 7 years, she's really dedicated herself to helping others on their spiritual journey, whether it be their own kind of solo path or intertwined with business and all kinds of creative stuff, which she will share with us here soon. She's also uses her intuition in her business coaching. She's got a huge amount of experience, which I have just found out in the business management and executive background, as well as the entrepreneurship. And she comes from a family that is full of entrepreneurs. So I'm excited to learn more about that myself. And she just loves to combine all the things woo woo and witchy and intuition and fun and expertise and all spiritual things, and make this beautiful package for people to help to enhance their lives. It's unique and individual tailored, which I love because we're all unique individuals and we all have unique messages to share. So I would love to just hear a bit more about um, you and how you got to where you are today, kind of a bit about maybe that spiritual path that you've been on for quite some time. I would love to hear some of the highlights of that if you would love to share. Welcome.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me here, Rhea.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here and an honor to be here. So, hello, everybody. I'm so excited to connect with you today. So, as Rhea mentioned, I have had, just like most people, I have had quite the path. I have had quite the journey already. I joke I'm half a century now, and it has been quite the life journey. So actually, when it all started when I was 17, I actually purchased my very first tarot deck when I was only 17. And when I first started using it, it felt like I had been using it my whole life. So I actually am self-taught in both oracle and tarot readings. And I actually teach people now, other people, how to read both tarot and oracle, but specializing in oracle actually. So, because there is a whole history just with tarot and oracle, but maybe I won't share that today. But there is a very extensive history with the two and how they were birthed into the world. So, for me, after I started reading tarot, I actually had my very first endometriosis surgery. And I don't know if I shared this with you, Rhea, but actually, the day before the surgery, I had quite the spiritual experience. So, my Uncle Dave, had actually passed away about, I think, a year or so before my surgery. And I was lying in my bed. I was fully awake. I was fully stressed as well because I was going into the surgery and I kept telling my mom that I had a really bad feeling about the surgery. So we have to keep in mind this is not 2025. As I said, I'm half a century, so it was a long time ago. So things have changed since I had this very first surgery in a good and positive way. But I kept telling my mom I had a really bad feeling about this surgery. And even I told the surgeon I had a bad feeling about it. not that it was anything about him, but I said, there's something about this surgery. He's like, no, everything's going to be good. You're fine. You're in good hands, blah, blah, blah. So back to the bedroom. So I was lying in my bed and fully awake, as I said, and very stressed. And next thing I know, I don't know if your listeners have watched Beetlejuice, but there is a whole scene in Beetlejuice where it's like a waiting room scene. And that's what it was like for me. All of a sudden, I was in this waiting room, and there was all these people from all different times, and I knew that because of the way they were dressed.
Mhm.
And I said to myself, what the heck is happening? I was just in my bed. Where am I? I was scared because I was only 17. I was like, where am I?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, my uncle came through the waiting room and he goes, what are you doing here? And how did you even get here? And I looked at him, I'm like, I was very close to my Uncle Dave, and I'm like, I have no idea. I'm very scared. I have no idea what's happening right now. He goes, Jennifer, you need to go back. You are not supposed to be here for a very long time. And then the next thing I know, I'm back in my bedroom. And I'm like, what just happened?
Ooh, goosebumps. Wow. Yeah.
So
Wow.
so this actually was just the beginning because I had no idea that in this surgery, I
Mhm.
actually my entire life and path would change. So I actually died on the operating table. So
Mm.
I woke up and there was the surgeon and there was the hospital security. And I said to myself again, what is going on here? And the surgeon said, Jennifer, I am so sorry. He's like, it's protocol. He's like, when we have to have this type of conversation, we have security because some people don't handle it very well. I'm like, what conversation? And he goes, well, Jennifer, there was complications with the surgery and unfortunately you died, but obviously we recovered you. There was a problem with the anesthetic and we still don't know what happened, he says, but we obviously brought you back. So I had no idea that was going to change my life in that moment. Actually, the surgery and dying on the operating table changed my life.
Wow. Yeah, it's I don't even know. I'm almost speechless. It's and you can't always know those things exactly how they're going to be, and there's always these messages, these little things that drop in, these little parts and pieces, and you're so young and you're trying to make sense of these pieces that are dropping in. And I was reading about the dreams that you were having when you were younger, and I was like, how does that, and so there was all, it seemed to be these pieces that were threading in. And I mean, I've always learned too that at many times in our lives we have these exit points, and we can choose to take the exit points or we choose to stay. And what your uncle was telling you when he came through was, you're going to have an exit point, but you're choosing to stay.
Yes.
You're here for a long time, obviously. And also your father was very in tune, loved studying the brain, which is interesting. My dad the same way, and I think I described that to you when we met 2 years ago in person. um Actually, no, it was last year, wasn't it?
It was last
And
year.
it
Yeah,
just seems like time flies, but
it does.
when they have such a fascination with the brain and understanding the neuroplasticity and the neurodiversity, like all the things that go on with the brain, because it's so complex, right? And just looking at the photos and reading the pieces and seeing that you guys had this beautiful kind of unspoken understanding, this energetic piece, and these things that were going on. He was opening all these doors without you really realizing all the doors he was opening. So was your uncle.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, both of them looking down on you and guiding you very deeply now through all stages of your life, which is fascinating. I mean, they physically aren't here, but they're right alongside us, like, come on, like, let's go here, let's try this and that. So if you were to take us down a bit of that path, I mean, when you wrote this copy of the book, Was that really guided? How did that kind of come through? I know it was really important for you to share the story on many levels, but what was that journey like?
Oh, such a powerful question. So it was an incredible, incredible journey. And so even before I started writing it, I kept telling my mom, I said, I know I have to write this book about dad. I know I have to. And so I personally believe that every single person has a spiritual guidance team. So I have learned from them actually how to connect with the spiritual realm. And I asked them to come forward and assist me with the entire writing process of Dad's Pennies from Heaven. So there is a lot of sections in Dad's Pennies from Heaven I don't even remember writing. And that's because it literally was channeled writing, also known as automatic writing.
Yeah.
So I literally channeled a lot of the information there. So it's pretty amazing having the assistance from the spiritual realm, and specifically my dad and my dad's family coming forward and assisting me with writing the book. And not to give it away too, but even throughout the book in Dad's Pennies from Heaven, I share how my dad's family and most of my dad's family members I didn't even meet when they were alive, they actually, throughout the book, they actually come forward from the other side and assist prior to my dad's passing and even after my dad's passing, including my dad.
Wow. So powerful. So powerful. And I think um just having that automatic or channeled writing is so powerful because you let go of the, that kind of that overthinking analytical brain, and you really get in touch with, the other realms, and with that soul, with those messages that are coming through. It's like you allow them to be uninterrupted,
Yes.
right? And it's funny because I've, been kind of, I know there's something in the ethers for me as well, sharing some channeled writing. Like I've been told many times that I will write a book with my dad. It will be a story, big stuff. I don't know yet. I have a feeling I know what it is, but I think I'm still kind of blocking it a bit, not quite ready. But it's interesting because it feels like it will be that channeled. He will channel through me because he was a published author as well, and a writer, and all kinds of things. And so he'll be channeling through me to get to that. So it'll be interesting. When the
Yes.
time is right, I will lean into, you for some questions on that. But it feels very exciting and very expansive and very kind of mystical. I don't know if you kind of experience that same thing. You're a very mystical personality as well, but it's not like there's a deadline or there's a have to or a need to. It just is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And I'm so glad you mentioned that too. So as you shared at the beginning of our podcast here, is that the new release is actually going to be released with Hay House. So I had originally released it with a self-publisher.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is she's actually given me her full support and blessing with the book being released with Hay House. Because even before I had started the writing process of the book, I kept telling everybody this book has to be published by Hay House. And I had no clue, no idea whatsoever how that was going to happen. No
Right.
idea.
No.
And I just kept trusting it. And so even the book that you have right now, even though I'm very happy about it, I always felt it was incomplete. So I don't think I've shared with you why I felt that. So I'm going to share
Yes.
now with you and your listeners.
Yes.
Is there was always a big piece missing. Not only Hay House publishing it, that was a huge piece. So there was actually three pieces to this puzzle. So the first piece is that I wanted it published by Hay House. The second piece I'm going to reveal last. The third piece is I always envisioned this to be converted into film. I always saw it being completely converted into a major motion picture. That's always what I felt, even before I started writing it. And I knew that was actually coming not from me; it was coming from them. And when I say them, I mean the
Yep.
spiritual realm.
Yeah.
So the second piece is I always knew that I had to have my dad's medical files with the actual proof of what occurred. So for everybody that's listening, I'm just going to give you, if it's okay, Rhea, if I give a little
Yeah.
backstory.
Please.
Okay, so
Yes.
so as you shared, so my dad had dementia, but this is what a lot of people don't know is in the final week of my dad's life, he had absolutely no dementia, none at all. So he had 100% clarity. He was able to have full conversations with myself, my mom, my middle son, and all the medical staff. Keeping in mind that for 2 years, the past 2 years before his passing, I was not able to even have 2 sentences with him, not never mind a full conversation. So final week, he has 100% clarity. He's able to have full conversations. And in the last 4 days of his life, I audio recorded the entire days with him. So I actually have audio recordings of him talking to all of us. And not only that, but he also shares what he's experiencing as he's transitioning. So the wonderful blessing is not only do I have these audio recordings and he shares messages, and he at one point he shares that the spiritual realm brought him back. And as I said, this is on the recording. He said, Jennifer, they brought me back. They brought me back so I could share a message. So the head of the Alzheimer's Society of BC, Canada, her name is Avalon Tournay. She actually has written the foreword for the book, and she has worked for the Alzheimer's Society for over 3 decades. And she said in her professional experience, she has never seen anywhere in the world documented a person with dementia at the end before they're crossing over have clarity for that long. She said what she has seen is an hour, a couple hours, but never an entire week. And she has never seen anywhere documented that somebody has audio proof of the last 4 days of their life. So the reason why I wanted the medical records is because it literally will prove to the world, for the skeptics, it literally shows that my dad had dementia testing on June 8th, and my dad passed on June 21st. On June 8th, it shows, and it's documented, and it's in the release with Hay House, that he believed the year was 1989, and it was in fact 2019. And then 3 weeks later, the week of his passing, he knew everything that was going on. He no longer thought it was 1989. He was able to have full conversations and was completely aware of everything, current events, the year, everything, what he was experiencing. And he even shared with my mom and myself and my son, who's older, just so everybody knows he's not a little kid. He's in his 20s, don't worry. He actually was explaining to us how it was feeling for him with the physical process of dying as well. Yes. And also on the audio recording, I caught it on the audio recording. He actually shares that he's seeing his life reel.
Wow. And it is a real thing. I mean, my middle sister that lives down in Vancouver was able to be there with my dad's passing. And I actually asked her to take photos. I wish she would have taken video, but I wanted to see because I knew he knew, she knew he knew. We're both very in tune, we're both very spiritual. But she said he was reliving everything. He was going back in those reels and he was talking about it all. You could see him vacating, but yet still very much going back into all these pieces. And she kept saying, Dad, it's okay. That is the past. It's already happened. But he needed to in his way. I guess it was his way of kind of slowly unplugging and letting go. And it was like he was up here watching all of the pieces and the chapters from a different bird's eye view. And then, so that was releasing him. So very powerful stuff. And that you even, I'll circle back, like what made you, what to record all of that. Like, what a fascinating piece to have for yourself and for like, I mean, obviously it was like, this is incredibly amazing. So what drove you, like, what little birdie was telling you that you needed to record this? How amazing.
Well, thank you. So Hay House is actually going to release the recordings at the time of the book release, just so everybody knows.
Oh
So
my
they're
gosh.
actually going to create a website and they're going to have all the audio recordings so everybody can hear them.
Oh,
Yes. So what he actually shared with me and my middle son Matt what it was like for him having dementia, which if it's okay, I'll share that in a minute. So it was after that I was sitting in the waiting room. I was obviously in the family room. I was quite emotional. My dad was in a home for literally 2 weeks. The hospital had discharged him and he was put in a home, and that's unfortunately where he passed. But I was sitting in this family room and I said to myself, I need to record this. And I had no apps on my phone. I had nothing downloaded. And I said to myself, I'm gonna record this. I'm gonna audio record this. And I remember I had told my mom too, and
yeah.
she's like, no, not a good
Yeah.
idea. But I kept feeling I had to do this. And I knew it was, I couldn't really explain it other than I knew it was bigger
Mm.
than me and it was bigger than my dad.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to do this. So for the first few days, we would go home late at night, but we would spend almost the entire day and night with him. The
Yeah.
night before he passed, my mom and I stayed the entire night and just slept in the chairs, but we didn't sleep actually. We just sat in the chairs. We were up for over 24 hours. So I left the audio, uh, the recording just going the entire time. And I'm so glad I did because now I know differently. But at the time, I thought he was actually sleeping. So he presented like he was sleeping. And then all of a sudden, he would scare both my mom and I because even when he saw the life reel, he actually shouted, "That's me. That's me. They're showing pictures of me." And you'll hear that on the audio recording. But it
Oh.
was quiet for the longest time. And then all of a sudden, he shouted that. So I'm really glad I just left the audio just recording because I would have missed so many moments.
So powerful, just incredible. And you know, and I think this is anybody that's listening when we talk about intuition, we talk about being guided, we talk about those things that we can't explain. You were guided, like you said, you were guided. You just knew. You didn't know why at the moment, but you knew there was such a big reason for you to capture this, and obviously it continues to unfold on levels that you had no idea then. He did, I think, you know, in a bigger way, and so did your uncle and other family members and guides and all those things. And we're all walking around with these beautiful, amazing support teams around us and helping us and guiding us as you're telling us this is, you know, this is, it's real stuff. And we all have maybe a bit of different beliefs or different experiences with it, but it's there for us, and it's not something to be afraid of or, you know, want to run from. Because I mean, it is intense, right?
Yes.
But you know, it's something to embrace, and it's like this beautiful extended family, this soul family that has you and holds your back and holds space for you and encourages you and helps you to open these doors and to see these things that sometimes at first they don't make sense, you know.
Yes.
And I know that's how you guide in your work and when you're helping people. So if you can dive in a little bit of, you know, you work with people just on an individual basis, or people who are really wanting to, like, say me with my, you know, my one-to-one and my wellness retreats and my spiritual connection and helping people guide their business, like someone like me, or just that, you know, just needing to make sense of life in general. So what does that really look like when people land in your space?
Oh, such a beautiful question. So, just like you shared a little bit earlier at the beginning of our interview, I love creating personalized sessions, and I also create personalized coaching packages because I personally, this is actually something my dad always used to say. We are unique, and he said it's so important we embrace that. So personally, I have actually blended that into my business practice as well. So I don't believe any of us, anybody is like another person. Even identical twins are not identical. So with my sessions, I offer both one-on-one, and I'm also launching, very excited, on June 1st this year, actually, 2025. I'm launching group coaching sessions for female entrepreneurs, whether they are spiritual and they have a business or they have a spiritual practice. So that's coming very soon. I also offer oracle readings online, and I also offer mediumship sessions where I connect actually with spirit, loved ones in spirit. And I also offer past life regressions. So I was trained by Dr. Brian Weiss in Florida. So I went to Rhinebeck in 2019, and he's an amazing man. He's been on Oprah many times, and I knew I had to be trained by him personally. So I flew out and was trained by him.
Very powerful.
Thank you.
Very, very powerful. So if somebody was just asking a question about past life regression, can you give a definition or I don't know, give us a little snippet of what that would look like for those who maybe don't know?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So I personally believe with past lives is the belief and theory that we have one than more life, more than one life, more than one incarnation.
Yeah.
So with past lives, it is actually under hypnosis. So yes, I've been trained and certified in hypnosis.
Okay.
So I literally take a person under hypnosis, safe hypnosis, and I guess I'm emphasizing that for a reason. So, safe hypnosis, and take them back to a past life memory. The reason why I knew, again, intuitively, that I had to learn by Dr. Brian Weiss is that I loved his teaching. Plus, he comes from a very strong medical background. He's also a psychiatrist in Florida, but he used to be a chief surgeon in the States. Very extensive medical background. And I loved how he actually created a safe hypnosis where literally the person that is being hypnotized is actually in the driver's seat, and the person that is actually conducting the hypnosis is actually in the passenger seat, but ensuring that the person is safe at all times. And that way, the person is fully aware of everything that's going on and does not do anything that they do not want to do. The reason why I say that is because I personally have witnessed hypnosis with other people in a comedy setting where people
Yes.
were put under hypnosis. I mean, to each his own, but it's not my cup of tea. Where they were put under hypnosis and they did things that they did not want to do. And a lot of people, even friends of mine, were actually humiliated and horrified by the things that they did under hypnosis. So that planted a seed for me, and I knew I would actually go into the past life regression modality at some point, and I knew that I had to learn by somebody that I respected and also respected the person that is being hypnotized, and that is Dr. Brian Weiss.
Wow. And I've heard many of the same things too. I've actually witnessed some of it. And it's interesting, because I think when you're working with in the realms that you and I are, the utmost importance, and that's what you were feeling the draw to be trained very specifically, is that, I mean, even if I look at my therapy background for 3 decades, when we honor that person, the confidentiality, they're trusting us, there's all of these beautiful things that we create for our clients that is so integral for their journey. And so having that space where they know that they're safe and supported, and that it's just such a nurturing space, because when you're starting to dive into some of these deeper pieces, it's big. It is a lot that comes through. And I love that, the background that, coming from psychiatry and medical, like all the pieces, and then showing you how to take that very important piece. And I love that, you get to be in the passenger seat, and then I would say get to be in the driver's seat. And because we are navigating, my soul is going to navigate those pieces and you're kind of that support right there just to keep that safe space. So how do you find people respond to that? Do they really like that way that you're approaching the work with them? Does it make them kind of settle in and relax a lot easier, which would make your work easier to help them to bring out some of that information coming forward?
Yes, they love it. And also, I'll share a story after I share this, if that's
Yeah.
okay, about Dr.
Yeah.
Brian Weiss, because it involves spirituality and intuition, actually. But at the very end of the intensive training, I said to Dr. Brian Weiss, I said, I'll just call him Dr. Brian, just so you know, because that's why I call him. So
Yeah.
so Dr. Brian, so I said to him that when I went back home, I was going to create my regressions and have everything online. No, so keep in mind, this is 2019.
Yeah.
So as we know, in the land of the entire world in 2019, COVID had not hit yet. But what I told Dr. Brian is I kept intuitively feeling that I needed to switch my entire practice from in person, because I had everything in person at that time. And I said, I can't explain it, but I said, I have to flip it and everything has to be online. And he's like, why do you want to flip it? I said, I don't know. I just know I have to do it. And I said, so I'm also going to create past life regressions and do it online. Plus, I said, I'm going to bring all my intuitive abilities to the table during the
Yeah.
regressions. So that is what I did. So I literally flipped my entire business in 2019. So when COVID hit, my business was already online. So I was able to continue practicing. So with the regressions themselves, I actually bring all my intuition into a session. So often I will actually I take notes with every session. And at the beginning of a session, I will start receiving messages as the person is just entering a mild to moderate meditative state. It's literally as if somebody is practicing, say, yoga, or they do meditation at home. That's how safe this hypnosis is. They're fully aware of everything that's going on, but they're relaxed.
Yes.
And so I will start putting in my journal notes all the intuitive messages I'm already receiving. So often I will put that, say, I'm smelling a specific flower or I'm hearing a specific name, and I'll write it in my note. And then when I take the person to the past life regression, let's say it's Aunt Helen, I write on my note. And then later in the regression, when they actually enter their past life, they'll say, oh, there's my Aunt Helen. So it's always cool, not only for the person receiving the regression, but it's always a cool experience for me, because it's really cool to see how all the pieces connect and how that person's spiritual guidance team comes forward at the beginning of the regression. And they actually help for the whole regression session.
Fascinating. It's so fascinating. And I love that, you know, that relaxation and that safety, because I think it allows more pieces to come through and that connection to be that much deeper and that much more impactful through the session, right?
I agree.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go all places.
Okay,
But
sounds good.
we were chatting about this, and I've kind of watched your beautiful tree talks. So you know you're out in nature and surrounded by an incredible environment where you are in Maple Ridge. But you decided to kind of take us on a little journey with these beautiful tree talks. What inspired that? It was just so incredible to, I'm the same way. I'm out in the trees every day. I'm hugging them. I'm just allowing them to nurture my soul and receiving what I need. And then I caught you doing these things and I thought, well, this is so wonderful. So what inspired that? Like, yeah, I'd love to know more.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, thank you. So you and all your listeners are probably going to laugh, but I'm going to share some behind the scenes, real behind the scenes truth here. So I call them bathroom chats. So literally the spiritual guidance team will come forward and connect with me while I'm in the shower or while I'm putting my makeup on and doing my hair and getting ready for the day, and I'll hear them
Yeah.
because I have one of the intuitive abilities called clairaudience, which is literally the ability to hear the spiritual realm. So I literally was in the washroom just getting ready for the day, washing my face, and they said, you need to do these tree talks. And I said, pardon? And they said, you need to get, because I'm very grateful and blessed. So Tyler and I have this amazing property that we're now on in Maple Ridge. It's 7.7 acres, and it's literally our house is in the middle of all these private woods. And so I'm literally surrounded by trees. So my element actually is wood. So I'm literally in my element. So the spiritual guidance team said, you need to create tree talks. And I said, okay. So I call them staff meetings. So I literally have these meetings with them. Okay, so what do you want me to do with tree talks? And they said, have these little clips, these little few minutes spiritual clips, and teach about different spiritual aspects that people might not know. I said, okay, I'll start doing it. So that's what I did.
Yeah. Oh, it's so cool. And I'm just staring at the tree that's right behind your window too. Um, and it's interesting because I can just imagine you just how you're just held in this beautiful space so that you're so taken care of and so grounded and so nurtured. There's so much wisdom. And I think with the work that you're doing, it's so important. It's for all of us that are in the spiritual work to be taken care of and held like that because we are processing a lot of stuff. And as we know, the world now it's getting quicker and quicker and quicker. And it's like we need to be continually grounded and centered and realigned all the time because we are um vessels for all of this information. Like you said, you're having the staff meeting, like, okay, sure, you all right, and this happens all the time for those of us that super connected. And it's just fascinating how I'm the air element, which is interesting to me. And so yeah, it's beautiful. How did you always go to the same tree or did you go to different ones on your property?
Yeah, so I was actually showing my partner Tyler, his family was over yesterday for Mother's Day, and I was actually showing them the two spots where I filmed the tree talks. So I
Yeah.
actually have two opposite areas for the tree talks that I filmed, but there's one favorite part, and I actually call it the magical forest, and we're actually going to be converting it into a magical forest. So that's what Tyler and I are going to be working on.
Oh, so fun.
Yes.
So we'll go there since you brought him into the conversation. So I have caught you guys a couple times just on your lives. So obviously he is very much, I wouldn't say on the same path, but very much, intuitive and very, I caught you guys a couple times doing some readings together, which was absolutely amazing to be a part of and catching you doing lives.
Yeah.
So what has he always been that way, or is that something that kind of evolved later in your relationship? I would love if you were willing to
Oh,
share because
yes.
it's very beautiful to see. You don't always see two people that connected spiritually and soulfully and aligned and able to share gifts so fluidly.
Thank
So
you.
yeah.
Thank you. It is quite the story, actually. So I keep telling Tyler that he has to write a book, Truck Driver to Tarot. So he literally was a truck driver.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I think it was 14, 15 years.
Yeah.
And he used to make fun of people like us.
Yeah.
And he used to think we were a little kooky. And one day it all of a sudden just hit him that he needed to check out astrology. And he's like, okay, this is weird. So
Yeah.
he started checking out astrology, and then he picked up his very first tarot deck. And then he became obsessed with tarot. And then he actually joined a tarot group and started offering free tarot readings to people with this site and just continued his spiritual path from there. What's really funny about all of it is a lot of people don't know the history behind the history with Tyler and I. So I actually went to high school with Tyler's sister. So I've been friends with Tyler's sister since grade 11. So a long time.
Yeah.
And years ago, while I was actually previously married, I actually used to do readings for Tyler when he was in a relationship. So that's quite funny. And then I ended the marriage, and I went through a lot, like a lot of people did in 2020. So I ended my marriage then. And I was actually crying to Tyler's sister Carrie, and I said, I like what's wrong with me? Like I just want a good relationship, I want somebody that understands my spiritual path and is spiritual as well, because I never had that in a partner.
Yeah.
And she goes, "You need to have a reading with my brother." And I said, "Say what?" Because I had no idea that he was reading for people at this point, because he actually had moved across Canada and was living in another province for 16 years. So I had not seen Tyler for a long time. And she said, "Yes, he's doing readings now." So he did a reading for me, and here we are years later. So, but what's really interesting too, I feel that your listeners might benefit from hearing this,
Mhm.
is that years and years ago, I had people tell me, write out a list about your partner. And I used to laugh about it. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Tall, dark, and handsome, 6'4", right?
Right?
Yeah. I'm like, sure, sure.
Yeah.
Didn't believe it. So what I did before I called Carrie, 24 hours before I called Carrie, I actually said, okay, this whole letter thing, let's see if it really works. But I'm going to do a twist on this. I'm actually going to put all the specific things I want to do with my partner. And I actually am not focusing so much on the physical, but actually the mental and what the person actually, what his beliefs are, because I actually had run into quite a hiccup when I was really awakened while I was with my previous partner, and my partner was not awakened. And I don't know if anybody that's listening right now, if you're going through that or you have gone through that, I totally understand how difficult it is. It's like speaking a different language with your partner.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In my case, it didn't work at all.
Yeah.
Because my partner, my ex-partner, he actually made fun of me, and so did his family. So it just didn't work.
No.
But so what happened, getting back to the letter? So I said I wanted somebody who was spiritual, who totally got it. And then I never say this ever, but I felt guided to say it. I said, I want a spiritual buddy. I don't use the word buddy. And I said, I want a spiritual buddy, somebody who totally gets it and reads tarot for a living. And then I ended the letter with these magic words. So all my business coaching clients know these words very well because I share them all the time. Anytime, and I'll actually share this if that's okay with your
Yes.
listeners.
Yes, please.
I teach, thank you. I teach something called placing the order with your team. And I'll tell you in a second how to place an order, but I always end the order and I end the letter with "or something better." The reason being is because energy is everything. And if we literally trap energy by being so specific, we say, I'm going to use McDonald's example here. Let's say we tell our spiritual guidance team, I really want a quarter pounder. But your spiritual guidance team actually looks at the back and the pantry and they have all the ingredients for a Big Mac. Because you have been so specific that you want a quarter pounder, you've now actually canceled out that order completely. And it's all because the energy is trapped. Unfortunately, it's created a block, and it's a block from receiving. So that's what I've learned is I end the letter, any request, anytime I place an order with my team, I always end it with "or something better." Because they see everything, and time is not the same for them either. So they see everything, and they might actually see something better for us than what we've even placed an order for. So that's what I recommend to all my business and personal coaching clients. Always end it with "or something better." So now you might be asking, your listeners might be asking, okay, well, how do I place an order?
Right? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. How do I place this order, please?
Yeah, awesome. So kind of think of it like any app that you like to shop from. So you literally can place an order for anything that you want, any area of your life, business, personal, you name it, spiritual even. You can even place, a lot of people don't know that, but you can place an order for your intuitive abilities. That's what I did. I actually placed an order for the spiritual guidance team to come forward and assist with the development of my intuitive abilities. A lot of people don't know you can do that. So whatever it is you want to place an order, this is how you can do it. The spiritual guidance team can literally hear you. And so you don't have to, if you don't want to write it out, you can literally place the order just mentally in your mind. And personally, I don't address my team all sophisticated. I literally say, hey guys. So you can literally address your team however you want. You can say, hey, spiritual guidance team, hey, spirit team. It's your team. They're going to respond to you. So you can address them however you want. I literally just say, hey guys, because that's how I am. So I'll say, hey guys, I am really having a difficult time figuring out the planning of my social media for this week. Can you please come forward and assist with my social media planning, assist with the posts, with the wording? And yes, fun fact, they can even go through technology, and yes, they can connect with ChatGPT and any AI. Why? Because the spiritual realm actually learns how to connect with technology, and so they are able to do that. So you can, for example, getting back to my example, so please, hey team, hey guys, please come forward and assist with my social media planning. Please help with the creation of my posts, my visuals, the choice of words, the tone and the delivery, so that it's received well by my audience. Please help make it really powerful, however you want to word your things, your requests. And then I always say, make it so powerful, and I give you permission to come forward, assist on my behalf, and you can word it however you want, but then I say, please make it happen. And it's everything that I've placed, I always end it by, or something better. Better, like word it like that, like something better than even how I've shared with you. Because I visualize energy is always free flowing. So I always want to end it loose versus trapped energy at the end, anytime I place an order. So with Tyler, I did that too. I placed the order.
Yeah. How fascinating. You placed the order and yeah, that's so I love the synchronicities. Some of them we don't even know about because they're already taking place behind out there in the ethers for us. And um it's just interesting how the interconnectedness of all of the, all the levels, all the energies, all the realms, all the, obviously not just your spiritual team but his, they're kind of connecting without really knowing behind the scenes and bringing that in. And so that's what you're teaching people to do. And I love that because I feel like often we do trap our energies because we just want the thing. We want it a certain way. But when you open it up to say, here's what you're bringing in, or even better, it's just like, oh, like don't just bloom the one flower in the garden. Let's just bloom all of this beautifulness and let it radiate and let that energy come through. And I think even artists are like that too, start with a little splash of color, and before they know it, they've gone in all these directions that they didn't even know they were going to go in. But if they had only said, I'm just going to put a dot on the page and leave it, like I just want a dot, they wouldn't have created this incredibly, amazing masterpiece. And I think that allows us to, take away some of those, I mean, if we want to call it limiting beliefs or, structures. We do live in a world that is very, I mean, we're taught, I guess, there's rules and structures. I mean, your executive background would have, you would have learned how to do things very much that way. But your spiritual side's going in, that's fine to be structured, but let's play over here. Let's move these doors open. Let's expand into the forest and the gardens and bring in all the magic, because the two of those combined, like how fun is that to, I bet it's amazing to witness your clients as they first kind of go like, I don't know how to do that. And then they start to open up like this, like I even think of the lotus because it's in
Yes.
the muck and the yuck beneath the surface for so long. And as it emerges, it slowly comes out into this most incredible thing we're in awe by. And it has pushed through all these different things to show us its vibrancy and its magic, and it's showing us a metaphor for us for the same way, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it must be so amazing to witness your clients on this journey. Like I mean, I know I love it on my side, but yours would be even more magical.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I actually had one business client, if I can share, uh,
Yes. Yeah.
just what piggybacking on what you were just sharing. She recently called me the clarity coach. She's like, "You're the clarity coach." Because what I do and I love, it's so, like, for me personally, it is incredibly rewarding seeing these amazing clients go from frustration, often confusion,
Yeah.
and then I take them from that state to clarity and excitement because I help them figure out their purpose, their soul aligned purpose, their that whether personal, and that also means business too.
Mhm.
What their mission, help them with their mission and their purpose, help them bring clarity with their offers and also their message, because a lot of people know they have a message but they don't know what the message is. And then often a lot of my clients, they have, once they have the message, then they don't know where to put the message. So
Yeah.
they don't know if they want to write a book, they don't know if they want to do a podcast, speak on stage, whatever it is. So I help them bring that all together like a present with a ribbon and a bow, so it becomes crystal clear. And that is amazing to see because I literally see a person's light go even brighter. And it's because it's soul aligned. So
Yes.
personally, and with, if they have a business, with their business is soul aligned. And that's where a person doesn't need an alarm clock anymore because they wake up in the morning and they're excited to start their day. That's what I love seeing when I work with people.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of us like, come with all of these things. Like we want to do all the things because it's exciting, but you can't do them all at once. So
No.
it's like you have these chapters, just much like a book. It's like, okay, like I'm in this chapter now, and I want to be able to do these things, and but there's always all these other things that are coming at the same time. So I love how, having the ability to help people really, get really clear on that and have a focus. And if you're going to write a book and have a podcast and speak on stage and do all these things, awesome. But we can't do them all at the same time, right? And so we don't take our energy and block it. So,
Yes.
so I can see you just helping people. Okay, let's write it all down. Like let's get this all out of here and onto paper or onto something so that you can look at it and be like, okay, so what does that journey look like? It's a windy journey. Let's play with it. Where are we going to go? What are we going to do? Right. And it's just like wandering through your woods. You'll be wandering along and looking this way. Ooh, there's something cool over here. We'll go over there and then over there. Right. So I think that's a fascinating piece. And I get you have that playfulness and that curiosity and that sense of wonder about you. And I think that I feel like you really draw that out in people.
Yeah.
And I mean, you draw it out in me, and the first time we met, we just did right away. And so I think that's fascinating. So, if you had something that, like, if people were listening and they're going, like, God, like, I want to do all the things, and I want to learn more about my intuition, but I want a reading, but I want this and that. If somebody was kind of, really interested in all the things, what would be something that you would really start with if you like a first time person working with you? What would be the easiest place to land to start?
Oh, the first thing, so that's a great question. So actually, every person that starts working with me, I
Mhm.
always ask them for two goals, two things that they want to work on right away. The reason being is because just like you shared, there's so many things. But
Yeah.
what I have found is if there's so many things and they're trying to be focused on all at the same time, it's scattered energy. Scattered energy equals no results.
Yeah.
So that's why I always recommend I also talk about being calm, and that the journey, whether a business development, personal development, or spiritual development, it is all a journey and it is not a race. And it's really important to just slow down. And I actually call it FFM, which stands for fast food mentality. Because as a society, we are taught everything's fast, fast, fast. Fast food, fast results. We have cell phones, fast communication, like everything's fast. But we need to slow down. And that's actually where the magic is. So I ask my clients to think of two goals that they want to accomplish, two areas of focus that they want. So whether intuitive development, or let's say they have a business and they have offers, but they want to create new offers. And let's say that they know they have a message, but they don't know what a message is, and they want to create a new website. I would actually say pick two of those three things. And then what happens is we focus on those two, clarity, bring clarity to it, check, get those two done. Then it's the next two.
Okay.
And it's incredibly rewarding for the person to be able to check and see, like, wow, this is happening. This is working.
Well, and I think because we know we have all these things that are brewing and percolating within us, right? And even more coming at us. And so being able to just slow down and ground and pause and breathe and just go, okay, like, just let's bring the most important, like, because in trusting, like getting out of our head too, and trusting our intuition, our own soul has things it wants to do. Our head has other things too, right? That's programmed from all the other stuff. So if we're able to just, hey, you can take a break for a minute. I'm going to listen deeper within. And that's usually, I guess, where those pieces will come from. It's not always the logic mind. It's that other deeper connection. So, yeah, you got me thinking about, all the things that I'm like, yeah, some days I'll be like, I want to do 1,500 things. And other days I'm like, I'm just exhausted. Like, I don't want to do any of them, so,
Yes.
and because it's, when you get really revved up about something and really excited and really driven, like it brings out this incredible energy. And I find when that energy is open, sometimes if you're not careful, too much tries to jump in.
Yes.
Right? Because we are so inspired and we're heart led, wide open, and all of these things. And being super careful, and that's where you can ask your team, your guides, your supports for, hey, can you hold me? I've got some big stuff that's coming through. Can you help hold me so that not everything is, kind of bumping you all around like bumper cars, because it can be really intense. Right?
Yes.
And so I love how you can help bring people back. And I love the combination of all of your experience bringing people back to that centered place where they can get clarity and they can get the answers, and without even trying, it just comes through and it flows. I always use the analogy of a river. Healing is much like a river. The life journey is, you're traveling down. I use that in my speech at 365 when I met you. I mean, I followed the river all the way down, and I'm like, wow, like it's going to reach its destination of the ocean, but it's going all these places, and it's hitting all these obstacles. It's going around and down and through, and it always finds its way no matter what. But it's about the journey. It's not the destination, it's the journey of all the things along the way. And we have to know for ourselves too, we don't have to have a final destination over here, but we're enjoying the moment of the journey, and each day is so different part of that journey, right? So allowing the flow to happen, allowing that ease, that breath, that pause is, so huge. And I think, like you said, because things are fast paced in the world. And so, I imagine your beautiful little home in the middle of this forest that keeps you centered and rooted so that you can teach people how to do that.
Yes.
So,
yes, thank you.
wow.
Yes, because
So
it's so
amazing.
important, because
It is.
also for everybody that wants to connect with the spiritual realm,
Mhm.
we have to slow down.
Yes.
And you already shared it today, but one of the biggest things that I've learned, the biggest key pieces with the spiritual realm is trust.
Mhm.
So trust what we are receiving, trust ourselves,
Yeah.
and trust the spiritual realm. And we need to slow down because if we're not slowing down, we will miss a lot of the messages.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that I've seen that a lot in some of the newest stuff that I've been starting to do with my photography and guiding people through a guided session where we're not just going on a photography session, but I'm capturing through the lens their transformation and their reconnection to themselves, their
Yeah.
grounding. They're like, it's incredible to watch, but I'm bringing them from here as I guide a meditation. We're in nature, and wherever we are, wherever, in the forest or by a river or by the ocean, I'm almost bringing them out because they're out of their body, but I'm bringing them back in and really connecting to that inner playfulness and to that home within. And so it's really fascinating I never thought that I would be doing that. And I love it. It's amazing because I get to show them afterwards. I'm like, look, this is where we started. And here you are right now.
Oh,
And
that's
it's usually
beautiful.
a couple hours
Yeah.
and you don't even know the time goes by. Or sometimes it's an hour to 2 hours, depending on the
Mhm.
person. But it is so fun to capture that essence that they have, that they've been so it's not your typical photo shoot. Let's just put it that
Yes.
way. And I was guided to do that. I've always done photography. I love it. And I'm just like, okay, this is really interesting because I can get people to quiet their mind,
Wow.
breathe, to really have that beautiful light that's sitting in there. Like you can just imagine this beautiful little
Mhm.
light, and it just starts to radiate and radiate and radiate out. It's just so incredible. And I feel like, you know, that clarity with what you're doing the same thing of helping people to turn that light back up,
Thank
because
you.
it always sits there and flickers, but
Yes.
it's easy for us to just not even protect it, but just, oh no, no, not now, or just turn it down, or like we do that because there's so much going on. There's so much chaos in the outer world.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow,
So, so
I don't
cute.
even know. I just keep learning so many things from you, and I just love
Oh,
this.
thank
I just love it.
you.
I love it. So, if you were to, I don't know, share some, I mean, you shared so many words of wisdom. Maybe it's
Oh,
not a
thank
fair
you.
question,
Oh,
but
thank you.
if kind of anyone who is looking for an answer or looking for some stillness or looking for something that they don't even know they're looking for, to be honest, what could you share with them that would really be just something that feels like home, that is just an answer for them to step forward to either asking for your guidance or just grabbing an oracle deck and just, hey, let me draw a card, I know there's an answer in there for me. What words of wisdom would you have for us?
Oh, well, thank you. That's a beautiful question. So I I'm actually hearing a message as well. So they wanted me to answer this question you just asked, and they also wanted me to share, just to kind of rewind a bit. They wanted me to expand a little bit. So with the spiritual guidance team, so that's one thing I actually didn't share, but I do connect with every person I work with. I actually connect with their spiritual guidance team. So I have been learning a lot from other people's teams, not just my own.
Yeah.
So what I just heard now is they wanted me to share with you and your listeners that you can mentally, verbally, or physically write down what it is that you would like to communicate with your spiritual guidance team. So your spiritual guidance team is with you 24/7. So they literally are supporting you every step of the way. And they wanted me to share a laugh and just to show how much they really support us. So I was in a store, a grocery store I'd never been to before. I I'm also a very strong empath, and I could tell the staff were seriously irritated that myself and other people were in the store right before it closed. And for whatever reason, I had to find my ranch craft dressing, and it had to be craft and it had to be ranch dressing. And I had to grab it right then. And I wanted to get out of the store quickly because I could feel how annoyed the staff were with everybody in the store. And I had no idea where to find it. So I literally mentally asked. So that's literally just a fun fact. You can do this anywhere you are. If you're in a board meeting with 35 people, you can mentally ask your team to come forward and assist with the board meeting. Nobody will hear you, only your team will. So one of your listeners is apparently going to have a board meeting. So I also have learned any examples I share is never a coincidence.
Yeah.
So I mentally asked my team to come forward and assist, to come forward in the store and then help me find the craft ranch dressing. And no word of a lie, I turn around in the bakery section of all places with all the loaves of bread was a single craft ranch dressing bottle standing right there. You can't make this stuff up. So I
No,
literally
I
got
have
the
another
bottle
word for that,
and
but
left.
yeah, and I think I need some friends. There's another friend and I here that she does a lot of the similar work as you, and we figure we need a sweatshirt with "You can't make this shit up."
Yes, right.
Right? We need it, the whole line. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So I
Oh,
was able to get the dressing and check out, and the staff were happy because they got to go home.
right.
So
Yeah.
they
Oh,
help with
so
little things and
they
big
do.
things.
And I think we forget that, like I was yesterday, I was looking for, and I was so frustrated because I have a little bit of brain fog with the whole, age we're at and all the things we get to go through. And it's very frustrating because I've always had this like Rolodex brain. I know, like, I can remember people's names. If somebody wants to know where they dropped their like red sock that they don't have, I know where that sock is because I've seen it. And so my daughter's looking for these papers for this truck that she's bought. It's and she's restoring it and she wants to go and she wants to get the insurance on it finally and she wants to do all these things. And I'm like, I put it in a safe spot. And I remember saying to myself, put it in a safe spot so we don't lose this. And my safe spots are always very different.
Yes,
And they're not the logical spots, which would be in a filing cabinet with her name on it, like on the file. No. Anyways, and
totally get
I
it.
kept looking. I'm like, I don't know where it is. I just don't. And so we looked and I kept looking in the area where I thought it was, but I couldn't find it. And I'm like, well, this is really weird. So I pulled all this stack of papers back out again and I'm going through it and I'm going, well, there's one that it is insurance papers in those plastic zip things that they
Mm-hmm.
always come in. And I'm like, nope, there's two there. That's not them. And I'm like, it's got to be there. And I'm like, where have I not looked? Like, did I trip over it? Anyways, I look back in there and I go, oh, I didn't move that thing. I lift it up, there it is. But I had to get out of my head and go, okay, Raya, like I was mad at myself. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, like how do you lose the things? And I was so frustrated because I knew it was there, but I just didn't remember. And it had probably gotten moved by moving things around that I didn't realize.
Right.
But it was interesting. I'm like, okay, there is a spot in there that I have not just literally lifted up a book, my stack of books I had in there, and there it was. Right. And
Amazing.
so we forget that we can ask for the guidance, like you said, for ranch dressing, for something that you've lost, for,
Yeah.
a phone number, for, whatever, going into a job interview. Can you please just, guide me through this, whatever it is. And we forget how simple it really is to ask and to accept that guidance.
You got
So,
it.
yeah.
Exactly. And even learning how to use Oracle cards, you also once again can ask.
Yeah. I asked if I could draw one before our interview and I was told no.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, okay, fine, then we're not drawing one. But like it's interesting because I always trust because we had so many things to talk about that we didn't need one. And I dove into the book instead. So we're going to wait. So you're going to let people know when this is coming. You're going to be sharing that on your
Yes.
website and Instagram, like TikTok, Facebook, all the things.
Yes.
So I'm going
Yes.
to make sure to post all of these places where people can find you so that we can follow this journey of when this is going to be released. I look forward to hearing the clips
Thank
and
you.
one of these days this will be an incredible documentary or movie for people to be able to experience. Like you said, that is one of the pieces, and I can feel it there. I got full body goosebumps when you mentioned that as well,
Awesome.
because it's all of these things that are starting to become more shared, and these is a real life deep dive into some really important stuff, and it will help. I mean, it's already helped many people, and it's going to continue to help. Like I said, what I turned to, and we'll talk about that later more. But I was like, oh wow, that's an interesting piece, right? And and trusting. And I was describing that to you when we started. We don't always have to, it doesn't always have to look a certain way. You don't have to pick a book up and read it from page 1 to 198. You can literally flip it open and there's the message you need for the day. So it's that simple with things like that. Grab an Oracle deck, put your essence into it, say, let me know what I need to know today. And that card will fall out, or
Yes,
it will be presented however it is. Asking, I'm big for rainbows. And they come all the time. I'm like, yeah, Dad, I need that rainbow. And it's like I've gotten them in January in a snowstorm.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
you
that's
just cannot make that up, right? So
no.
yeah, so it's great. I feel like we've shared some. I mean, we could go on for hours, I'm sure, and just there's so much magic to be shared. And I think people will be super intrigued and will be looking up how to, how did you get to where you are and doing all this work that you do. And it's amazing that you offer it online because you're so reachable. I mean, I am about 12 hours into the northern part of the province from you, and you and I can have this chat, which I love that we have
Yes.
technology that allows us to do this. And that also people, if they're intrigued and they want to work with you, they can be anywhere in the world.
Yes.
And they can say, hey, that Dawn in Maple Ridge, I want to talk to her, Jennifer Dawn. I know her. And so, yeah, I love that. And I'm so honored to have you here today and just to holding space for the conversation and sharing your gifts and your story with all of us.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me here, Rhea. It was amazing. And thank you to all your amazing listeners
Yes.
for listening to our interview and the stories. I really appreciate you taking the time to listen. So thank you so much, everybody.